Think about a single coffee. 1 year ago, it cost you $3. Today, it's $4. That's a 33% jump for the exact same cup. But where did that extra dollar go? That extra dollar didn't vanish. It's the silent hidden tax known as inflation. It's arguably the most important and often the most misunderstood concept in modern economics. It dictates everything from your mortgage rate to the price of eggs. So, in this video, we're going deep. We'll define inflation, explore its two main causes, look at how the government measures it, and most importantly, we'll discuss what you can do to protect your money from its corrosive effects. Simply put, inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, and, consequently, the purchasing power of currency is falling. Your money buys less tomorrow than it did today. We're not just talking about one or two items. We're talking about an economy-wide trend. But how do economists track something so broad? They use the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. Think of the CPI as a fixed basket of goods and services that the average household buys: food, rent, gas, medical care, clothing. Economists track how much this exact basket costs over time. If the basket cost $100 last year and costs $103 this year, that's an annual inflation rate of 3%. A stable, low rate of around 2% is generally considered healthy for an economy, as it encourages spending and investment. But when it runs hot, problems begin. So, why do prices rise? Economists typically break inflation down into two primary causes, often called the push and pull of the economy. The first is demand-pull inflation. This is the classic scenario: too much money chasing too few goods. Scenario: the pandemic stimulus. When central banks inject massive amounts of money into the system through low interest rates or direct government aid, people suddenly have more cash to spend. But if factories and supply chains can't keep up with that sudden jump in demand, sellers realize they can raise their prices without losing customers. Think of concert tickets: high demand, limited supply, high price. Demand pulls the price up. The second type is cost-push inflation. This happens when the cost of making a product increases, forcing the seller to raise the final price to maintain their profit margin. Scenario: the energy shock. Imagine the price of oil, a key raw material, suddenly doubles. Every business that relies on transportation, plastic, or energy, which is every business, sees their costs soar. A bakery pays more for flour due to higher farming/transport costs and more for electricity. They are forced to push those costs onto the final consumer, you, who pays more for bread. Cost-push inflation is often triggered by supply chain disruptions, wars, or sudden labor shortages that demand higher wages. You might be surprised to hear that a low, stable rate of inflation, like 2%, is actually desirable. It signals a healthy, growing economy and incentivizes people to invest and spend their money instead of hoarding it, since they know its value will slightly decrease over time. The real danger lies in high and volatile inflation. The bad. The biggest victim is your purchasing power and your savings. If you keep $10,000 in a bank account earning 1% interest, but inflation is 5%, you are effectively losing 4% of your money's value every year. It hits people on fixed incomes, like retirees, the hardest, as their income doesn't adjust to the rising cost of living. The ugly. High, unpredictable inflation creates massive uncertainty. Businesses delay investment because they can't accurately predict future costs. It makes long-term contracts and lending incredibly risky. And the scariest outcome? Hyperinflation, where money loses value so quickly that it ceases to function as money, as seen in Zimbabwe or 1920s Germany, often requiring people to carry money in wheelbarrows. What's the cure? Central banks, like the US Federal Reserve or the European Central Bank, fight inflation primarily by using monetary policy. Their main tool? Interest rates. If the economy is overheating and prices are rising too fast, The central bank raises the benchmark interest rate. This makes borrowing money for mortgages, car loans, business expansion more expensive. Higher borrowing costs slow down economic activity, cool off demand, and eventually bring prices back down. But what about your defense? You can't control the Fed, but you can control your own wallet. The best way to combat inflation is to ensure your money is working for you. This means investing in assets that historically outpace inflation, such as stocks, real estate, or inflation-indexed bonds. For your day-to-day cash, look for high-yield savings accounts that offer an interest rate that attempts to keep up with price increases. Inflation is a constant, unavoidable force in economics. Understanding it is the first step toward building a strong financial future. It's not about avoiding rising prices. It's about making sure your income and investments rise faster. Did you find this breakdown helpful? Let me know in the comments. What economic terms should we explain next? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into finance and economics. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.